guys, it's April. It's the middle of the month, I've read books, and I want to tell you about my books. Like always, I wanted to split my monthly wrap-up into two pieces because I have developed a reading habit of a lot of books. So this half of the February reading wrap-up will consist of 14 books. Yeah, 14 Valentine's. Maybe? Maybe not? I don't know. I will now get started and leave off my extremely cheesy factor of nonsense and tell you about said books. I started out the reading month with reading Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I have previously read Pride and Prejudice, and I've seen all kinds of adaptations of most of Jane Austen's work, so I was really excited to get more into reading her works. Sense and Sensibility is about the Dashwood sisters and their little adventure with romance and life and just being, like most of Jane Austen's works. However, I did not connect to this one as much as I have with Pride and Prejudice. That might be because I absolutely dislike when a character decides to waste away because of another character. That never appealed to me. It just makes me mad when that kind of stuff happens. I have no sympathy for those kind of actions, wasting away, pining after someone. So that kind of knocked this book down a little bit. I understand that sometimes plot developments and things that has to happen, but no. And the fact that they ended up with characters that I wasn't necessarily rooting for. But that won't stop me from reading more of Jane Austen's work. For sure. My roommate ended up going to the library and just perusing the bookshelves and picking up a book. I saw this book and I immediately grabbed it from her and sat down and read all of it in one night. And that book is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I went into this book completely blind. It is about a young boy and his life. That's all I'm gonna say about this book. This book broke me. I was in tears at the end of it, and these were like real gushing tears. My roommate was concerned about me. I don't want to spoil any of this book, which is why I'm not really giving a synopsis, but mainly it is just about a boy who's dealing with something very hard in his life. And it has some beautiful illustrations. So after my roommate returns this to the library, I'm going to have to pick up a copy of my own because this needs to happen. There are certain people I want to read this book, and it just needs to be in my library. It just does. Then I picked up Think Like a Freak by Stephen D. Levitt. This is by the same author who did Freakonomics. So I, of course, was very interested in what he had to say. It was mainly about thinking like, of course, it was thinking like a freak. So not going with the norm, not making assumptions, just doing experiments even to fail because that will tell you something, and trying something different. It's the whole concept of thinking outside the box. And it did some explaining about both Freakonomics and Super Freakonomics and some of the things that they talk about in those books and why they put that out into the world. And it was an experiment in and of itself, which I found really fascinating. So I enjoyed this book immensely. I then picked up Salem's Lot, which is the third Stephen King's book that I have read. And in the process of reading this, I've come to the realization that maybe Stephen King's and I do not have the best mesh for reader and author. I love all of the television dramas and movies that I have seen of his works, but for some reason I just could not get into his writing. Salem's Lot is basically about a town where some questionable things go down, and it's very atmospheric, but I didn't connect with it at all. I was rushing through it. I wanted to be done. And so I might hold off on Stephen King's for a while unless something really calls to me, but for now, maybe not. And then Stars Above by Marissa Meyer came out. I had to get it. There was a snow day, of course, in the middle of that, so I couldn't get it the day of. But I got it the day after and then proceeded to go through all of the stories. I have read a lot of them previously, but I enjoyed them even more in this physical form. It was beautiful. And then just the additional stories that she added in here to just expand that whole Lunar Chronicles universe. I enjoyed it a lot. Some of them were better than others, of course. And this will only make sense if you have read the rest of the series. But I like short stories. Sometimes I just need a little peek at the places I used to love and still do love. If that makes sense. A while back, I started a reread of the Dresden Files series by Jim Butcher. And so I picked up the second book, Full Moon, and highly enjoyed it. I didn't remember a lot of it from the first time I read through. Of course, the whole Dresden series is about a wizard named Harry Dresden who is involved in a lot of interesting events. He helps the police. He is a private investigator / private wizard for hire, and he, of course, makes a fool of himself a lot. This one was very heavy on the were lore, which was, I like. It was interesting because it doesn't stick to just one were lore. It has the whole mixture of the different types of lichen. And I just really like the series, and I've forgotten how much I like the series, so I will, of course, be continuing on. Don't be surprised when you see more. I then finished off the Finishing School series by Gail Carriger, and this, of course, is Manners and Mutiny, in which Sufirna finally finishes. It, of course, has that quirky quality and the madness, the vampires, the werewolves, and the steampunk aspect of everything. Carriger, I love her writing. It's so witty. It keeps you on your toes, and I laugh through most of her writing because it's nonsense and great, and I love it. I absolutely do. Then there was Good Omen by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. I've had this on my shelf for a while. I decided it was time to just sit down and read it. I haven't read a lot of Neil Gaiman, and I haven't read a lot of Terry Pratchett. This was a good combination of authors. This book made me smile. This is basically the story of when the Antichrist comes down, and then just heaven and hell, angel and demon, what's going on, what could go wrong, what is going wrong, what they do about it, and it's nonsense. It's great. It made me smile. It reminds me a little bit of the writing style of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is probably why I enjoyed it so much. It's just, I think it's the British humor, maybe? I don't know. It just, oh, I liked it. I liked it. So, Armageddon, end of the world. Antichrist, 11-year-old. What could possibly go wrong? I did do a buddy read this month with Shayla over at Shay Geeks Out, and that was Wildwood Dancing by Juliette Merlier. I love Merlier. I'm not even sure I'm saying that name right, but that's how I say it. I'm gonna say it that way. Wildwood Dancing is a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses. Jenna is the second oldest of 5 sisters who periodically, during the full moon, go to the other kingdom and dance the night away. The way Merlier takes this fairy tale and builds out this story about grief and loss and love and finding yourself and growing up, her writing style, I love it so much, which is of course why I love the Seven Waters series so much. And it extends into here. I once again have had a few issues with the story because I don't appreciate people who give up on life simply because of another person. I like stronger characters than that, and I don't empathize or sympathize with anyone who just lets himself go to waste. So that detracted a little bit from this because I did some eye rolling, but overall I really, really enjoyed this book, and I want to pick up the next one in the series soon because it shows a lot of promise and I love Marie. I do. I really do. And of course, with the release of Remembrance by Meg Cabot, which is a new installation in her Mediator series that totally started fangirling and freaking out about, I decided to go back and reread the whole Mediator series. I was hoping to have read all the way through by this point in the month. However, I got distracted by several other books. I'm okay with that. But yeah, I got through the first 5 books. I have the last 3 to finish off by the end of the month. That's doable. Okay, so I'm gonna stop babbling. The Mediator series is about a girl named Susanna Simon who can see ghosts. Part of her adventures is figuring out what is going on, what is keeping them earthbound, and helping them to move on. The stories take place at the beginning in her senior year as she moves to Northern California because her mother got remarried. In the process of moving, she gains 3 stepbrothers who all have very unique personalities, but she's a very spunky character and she makes me smile, and going back and rereading these, just the warm and fuzzies. The ones I have managed to reread so far is Shadowland, The Ninth Key, Reunion, Darkest Hour, and Haunted. These books take place her sophomore and junior year. I'm in the middle of reading Twilight, which continues on in her junior year. And then I want to reread the Proposal novella and then finally get to Remembrance. Remembrance takes place when Susanna is in college and I'm excited to get there, so that will be happening. Will be. Those were a few books that I have read in the past 2 weeks. I think that is acceptable. I'm not gonna argue with what I read. I liked what I read. It was a pretty good first half of the month, I won't lie. Let's hope the rest is just as good. I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.